Hello, everybody. What's going on? Welcome to episode 179 of the Leon LeGray podcast. Your host, as always, Leon. And finally, we're back and getting back into what I do best is making awesome recordings of what's going on in technology, what's going on in the world, what's been going on in the social um, ecosystem of the web, the hardware, the software, and what's going on in the world. And by the way, I appreciate every single one of you taking the time to listen to the Leon the Great podcast. I myself. Hey, before we begin on today's episode, I want to go ahead and get you started on today's sponsors. I like to go ahead and begin with the sponsor that I've been using for now a couple years now, Scooch Case. And if you don't know what Scooch Case, I've talked great lengths about Scooch in the past and why I love using their cases. And the previous one that I've had before was a clear case, light in your pocket, and something that I can use all the time and something that I can just use on a daily basis. So if you love yeah, a phone protector, or if you have a brand new phone or trying to look for a good phone protector or a screen case, I would recommend going over the Scooch Case and Fortress Up. Both are great. Something that I would recommend to anybody to try and check out Scooch. Look up over on the phone models of your choice, something that you currently have, which I know that right now they carry cases from iPhone 13, 12, 11, and many other Android models that they have right there, including Samsung Galaxy's model, including the S22. So go over, check out Scooch Case and Fortress Up, so um, that way you can go ahead and purchase a case and screen protector to protect yourself too. And plus, please go ahead and mention that I have sent you. Then next on the list of sponsorship I have is no other than Zenny. And I'm sure that for those returning listeners that are coming back and listening to me for the thousandth time about Zenny Optical, and which I've said before, I will say it again. Zenny anti blue light glasses is something. It doesn't matter what you do, mobile, desktop gaming, work, whatever you're doing. Zenny provides great glasses because, for one, I've worn Zennies for a long time, and I would definitely recommend all my viewers to do the same. Go out and protect your eyes. And if you're right now someone in your 20s or your 30s and doesn't have bad vision problems like I do, I would go ahead, get yourself some Zennies, because I'm sure many of you know that having to look into blue lights going to your phone or your desktop causes tons of eye problems down the road, and blue light is not the best thing for your eyes long term, and the fact that you'll be affected with blue lights, especially if you're on your iPad, your iPhone, or whatever your device you got going on. It is not good for your eyes. And I always say to people is go ahead, check up some Zennies. I'm sure at this point already, they already had an April sale that just happened, or an Easter sale that just passed. So if you guys want to, I'll have the Zenny optical sales down on the description below, so you guys can go out and check out what sales you can get for Zennies.com. So my goodness, so it is time that I get back into the podcasting game, and I figured it has to be a very good time to get back into it. I mean, right now, a lot has been happening in the tech sphere, and just so much that I definitely missed out. I really have to say, I I don't keep up with so much of what's been happening in the last in the last few weeks because of, for one, my job has been preventing me to make another podcast. So at this point, I figured I'd do this right now, make a recording, make do all this kind of fun stuff, and get it out of the way too, because so much on my mind, and I figured let's get this recording out of the way, because otherwise I won't get that kind of chance to do recordings like this again. And then also one of my relatives, my mom, she's going to be coming to visit within within tomorrow. So tomorrow and then the next 5 days, she's gonna come over and stay over over at here in our place, because for one, she's taking a couple of her things and moving all her things back to South Florida where she's currently living, which that's something that she's doing right now, and I myself just definitely gonna take the time and hopefully try to breathe on easily while I am. How can I put it this way? While I'm out with my mom, since I haven't seen her within the past 2 months, which um, it'll be a good thing to get away and spend some time with of course relatives and all that, and it's good. It's good to see a family once in a while, which I definitely needed to. But yeah, and so guys, uh, so before we get into today's topic, I want to let you guys know that with once I am done with family matters, which hopefully with once I'm done pretty much with family situations and my mom's visit over here, I will definitely get something nicely prepared for episode 180 coming up down the future. So just remember, if you want to follow up on the latest episodes of the Leon the Great podcast, please be sure to follow, subscribe, whatever you do. Seriously, whatever you do, follow, and so that way you don't miss another episode. And honestly, though, there is a lot to say too. And to me, I wanted to definitely start off with something I think a lot of people have talked about, especially the Twitter takeover. What Elon Musk, it's been pretty much talked about since I would say about last week, which that's been a big talk last week, and it still continues to be a big talk now because of what's been happening. I think, and to say what's been happening, that Elon Musk buying Twitter, it's definitely a big news, and why I think a lot of people wants to go over this, because for one, he is a billionaire he wants to take over, and whatever he does, who knows how this is going to affect the platform. And again, do I take everything that he does seriously? No, I don't think so. And for one, it is definitely a play on words, which that's all what Elon Musk is trying to do in order to attempt to take over Twitter. Now, even though yes, I will say that he does definitely have the money to probably the capital to buy it too, but I'm sure that having to cooperate with pretty much the boards of directors and what's going on behind the scenes on Twitter, which I think it would be very tough. But from what I understand, Elon Musk wants to privatize Twitter, which I don't know how that's gonna go, but if he ever succeeds on that part, I think that it would be very interesting where that's gonna go and how things are gonna shift. Because I know Twitter in the last few years, it's just been very unfriendly, and what Twitter with the whole Twitter and Elon Musk situation has come about the last few days. I think it's been really interesting, but it's definitely has shocked definitely the whole web and the world, to find out that he is doing this big move. And to say where this is going with Elon Musk doing this, it is absolutely genius. But we don't know how his influence is going to be if he ever does a takeover of on Twitter. And this is basically we're end up relying on a freaking billionaire to have pretty much new rules and control of what Twitter's going to do. And honestly, if he does make some good changes on the platform, I mean, good on him. But jeez, you know, I don't know what I can put it this way. If he does what he does, I mean, that'll be good. But at the same time, I'm not even sure if that's a very good move, because if he buys out Twitter, does the new management on Twitter and him and the new management on Twitter is gonna have full control? I'm sure he won't be able to, because let's put it this way, I mean, this is a huge deal, and someone has pointed out with the last couple days or several days after so many content creators have talked about the news. In fact, my opinion is this: is just that, for one, Twitter last few years has been a mess with what's been happening right there, and to me, I think, who knows, it could be a big positive or it could be a big net negative. If this ever succeeds, who knows? It'll probably be likely, but my guesstimate is that it will end up being less likely, because, I mean, first of all, for what I understand, what Elon Musk is doing is strategic, but I don't think he's playing the game right. Why I say he's not playing the game right, because I don't know if he'll ever succeed into taking over Twitter, because this is it's absolutely funny where this is gonna go. So, and not only that, and if this successfully does come true, and if he is able to attempt to buy Twitter, for one, I mean, hell, go for it if you want, but to me, am I a fan of Twitter 100%? Absolutely not. And I don't like where with Twitter you're not getting the certain amount of reach, and the whole shadow banning on Twitter has, for creators that have gone big already, it's not something that a lot of people are a fan of. I'm not a fan of the whole shadow banning. They've started doing that, I think, ever since after 2016, 2017. Between that time frame, they've started doing that early on, but right now Twitter has of course have gone to that step where it's now becoming banning heavily to small and big creators right now, that it's just makes this at most very situation unfriendly to be around. It's a terrible situation, but look at it this way: if he ever ends up buying it like he says he would, I mean, this is going to be big. Like, it's like Jeff Bezos it's like someone that said back on a video where someone pointed out that Jeff Bezos purchased a big newspaper, I believe the Washington Post, like something $1 billion, which that was a big deal back then. Of course, you see millionaires buying football teams, which that it's not also making the team money, but it's making these billionaires more money. If you buy a team or certain team for sure, but that is huge. Where you have someone that is worth a lot of money buying a social media company. So that said, I'm not sure I will ever want to put my trust on someone that is gonna try to take over and do what they are going to do. You know, it's hard for me to say. You know, a lot of different outlooks, a lot of different perspective of what it's going on with the whole scene with the whole Elon Musk and Twitter takeover that's gonna go. And I honestly though I haven't seen too many um interviews with Elon Musk. I'm not very familiar with the guy's work except for Tesla, SpaceX, and then Neuralink, where he's pretty much involved with every single aspect. Which right now become a very big it's a very big projects for this one individual right there too. And I'm not sure how he's able to handle all that too. And I think I already told everybody about this too. Like just to get a little bit off topic here, but I know that I myself, for those that are listening for the first time, may know that I've rode a Tesla, and for last year I rode a Tesla for the first time. I filmed it and I put it up on YouTube. Honestly, one of the best the best experience riding a Tesla. And nowadays, I go back to my friend's place and ride his Tesla back and forth to visit over to his place. I think it's super. I like the Tesla and I think it is very comfortable. And the model my friend has is a Model S. It's a very incredible car. I love the design on it. He got the metallic blue car, and so that was his color of choice. Even though the color adds up, but that's his favorite color, and this is something that he's definitely going to cherish for the rest of his life. You know, and that's something that's not a purchase you could just get off right off the whim, and this is a very big and serious purchase that you have to um, be careful and how you plan your purchases right there too, because I know that with Tesla, you have an option of the slow charge or the medium supercharger that you can have a technician come and install it right into your garage, which is a very big and also expensive purchase. You gotta remember that as well. So you can't just go and spend a Tesla car out of the whim. And I will say that the more I ride it and the more I learn about the Tesla and all its features, it is a very attractive car, which to me that'll be an investment that I like to put down on the road and something I'll be happy as well. Because for one, you're not spending a lot of gas, which there's something, or actually not a lot of gas. Excuse me. No, you're not even spending a single penny on gas. Which, if you look at the prices of gas, it has gone up a lot too. And I think if you are considering on getting a Tesla, even though yes, pretty expensive right now, but that will save you a lot down the road if you invest in, I don't know, Tesla, and that will be a car that will last you a very long time. In my opinion, I think I'll be one of those cars in the future that's, I mean, heck, I have coworkers now that talks about Teslas. And you know, that's one thing about Teslas is you're also making a investment of a lifetime. And then now, where I'm thinking about it now, I do like to put an investment on a Tesla down the road because I myself find Teslas very attractive, and that's something I will love to put down. For me, if I ever have enough to afford one down the future, down the road. So back where I wanted to say, for me, the developments of the Twitter takeover, it's going to be something that even if he does this, I myself personally think that this is definitely a show. I don't think he'll end up becoming very serious. Again, even though he Elon Musk admits that the policies of Twitter has just gone worse, and something that they are not open for free dialogue or free speech, which honestly I myself agree with his statement, because it's not a free speech platform, and it's definitely it's been eaten alive by people from the inside, especially with bad uh, bad people running the show. Which if that ever happens, and let's say if Musk does become very serious and buying Twitter and changing the way Twitter is going to end up becoming, if he ever seriously buys it, I think it may end up becoming a good thing if so serious about that too. And then plus, here's the thing too. I wouldn't stay and focus on Twitter, because if it was anyone, I would say continue to reach out to other platforms which still widely supports free speech. In fact, you can go and look up websites like minds.com, minds.com, which you guys can go ahead and look up minds.com. And I know there is another website that does the same thing, similar to Instagram, called Pexmo, PXLMO, which I'll have the links down below in the description, so anybody can look up the Instagram clone, the Instagram killer app, which I will definitely put it down there so anyone can look it up yourselves. And yeah, there's so many alternatives, which I think it is great, and because honestly, we definitely need good, valuable alternatives for the web, because this is something that is definitely changing, especially with Web 3.0. But I don't seriously find this news, especially with the whole Twitter takeover, to be absolutely serious. And even if he does, he still has to listen to the the executives and the board. So to me, he still is going to be chained to people like the executives that are still in charge. So again, that's just my opinion. But however, you guys can develop your own opinion about it. What is your take on it? Because honestly, the web has just becoming very crazy, and also just crazy in general, but very toxicating even for our minds. And I don't like where social media has developed, and especially with the world Twitter, because at some point you definitely have to shut off Twitter. And I've done this before twice in my life, and you need to not focus on the social medias right there, because I think social media can be put to some good, but also it can also lead into a lot of um mental harm for your mental health, which it's a thing that a lot of young people that goes into Twitter are pretty much, I don't know, they are not well, and a lot of people are focused on it too. And what's the word I'm trying to bring? Oh man, it was right on top of my head, like social media addiction. There we go. And you got a lot of young teens that are hooked on their phones and don't care to socialize between people to people. While I get the other side of social media, but you got the worst of social media on it as well, which I don't like, where it's developed. And you have also Facebook and Twitter seems to be the best of worst worlds, uh, the best of the worst to be around. So again, don't take it from me. That's just the opinion I have. So yeah. And that being said, we're gonna jump right into
And for those
next topic, which this is actually one of my favorites, and I think
I'm sure that everybody should know
Brave
what
should
the heck
listen to
Brave
this.
is about. And I've talked about Brave so many times on the introductions on my shows a lot, and I think
everybody should have know about Brave. If you don't know what Brave is about, please click down the affiliate link down below on the description of this podcast. So guys, so you can go ahead and check out Brave yourself and get away from all these Google monopolies like um, Firefox or Google Chrome, for instance. And this is a good topic I wanted to go over, which this is pretty much a topic that's been written by David Price, and which in this article which says Brave is bypassing Google AMP pages because they're harmful to users. So, and this is another story I've discovered on The Verge, and I myself I do use Google's accelerated mobile pages framework, and I don't even um I will say that even I myself does I almost find that with Google, if you add Google on your blog, for instance, if you have a WordPress, I don't see the speed improving if you have Google or the AMP pages, where and this actually, and if you guys want to know what AMP is, well, you're in for a treat. So in this article, which says Brave announced a new feature for its browser on Tuesday, DAMP, which automatically jumps past any page rendered with Google's accelerated mobile pages framework, and instead takes users straight to the original website, where possible, DAMP will rewrite links and URLs to prevent users from visiting AMP pages altogether, Brave said in a blog post. And in case where that is not possible, Brave will watch as pages are being fetched and redirected users away from AMP pages before the page is even rendered, preventing AMP/Google code from being loaded and executed. Brave deframed DAMP as a privacy feature and didn't mince words about its stance toward Google's version of the web. In practice, AMP is harmful to users and to the web at large, Brave's blog post said, before explaining that AMP gives Google even more knowledge of users' browsing habits, confuses users, and can often be slower than normal web pages. And it warned that next version of AMP, so far just called AMP 2.0, will be even worse. And so I will actually agree with this, because let me just stop right here and say that if you added Google or any code brought to you by Google, you know that it's not even safe to have Google right embedded right into your website with the massive amount of tracking that it does. And I will say that if executed pretty well with Brave and blocking or de-amping Google's code by visiting through different websites, I think it's best, because Brave's mission about privacy, it's looking to be pretty good. And I may have talked and criticized about Brave where they've had a leak on it, but I'm sure that's been months now. And I look at like browsers like Brave doing something to make it privacy focused, which is great. In many ways, I do see that is a wonderful, wonderful thing to de-Googlefy or de-amp Google's code, so that way it's not constantly tracking your movement, right, or your web page viewing, which I think is great. That Brave is doing something right there too, because honestly, we're in a very privacy tethered world, because right now, I mean, I myself have been more privacy conscious. If I don't know if it's the right word to put it, but privacy conscious, yes. And I've been pretty much putting a lot of focus where which websites you visit, and just gotta be careful where you visit because, I mean, most of the time you don't know if these websites are embedded with Google code. I'm sure that almost pretty much 95% they are, but you gotta look at it this way. I mean, do you trust anything that's out there on the web? I'll sure tell you that not a lot of people do, but the codes in most of these blogs are embedded. I mean, you damn well, you damn well be that these codes are already there in many of these websites. Because for one, I will tell you that they've have to embedded code or Google code for one to track analytics and who's visiting the websites. That's the reason why people still rely on Google's code for anything else really, and that's one reason. And I will continue on, which in here in the Verge article, Brave's stance is a particular strong one, but the tide has turned hard against AMP. Over the last couple of years, Google originally created the framework in order to simplify and speed up the mobile websites. And AMP is now managed by a group of open source contributors and was controversial from the very beginning and smelled to some like Google trying to exert even more control over the web. Over time, more companies and users grew concerned about that control and chaffed at the idea that Google will prioritize AMP pages in search results. Plus, the rest of the internet eventually figured out how to make good mobile sites, which made AMP and similar projects like Facebook instant articles less important. A number of popular apps and browser extensions make it easy for users to skip over AMP pages in a recent years. Publishers, including The Verge parent company Vox Media, have moved away from using it altogether. AMP has even become part of the antitrust fight against Google. A lawsuit alleged that AMP helped centralize Google's power as an ad exchange, and that Google made non-app ads load slower. Well, that's really good. And honestly, though, I've definitely loved the stance what Brave is doing. I think what Brave that they've done right there is really, you look at it this way. I mean, we all have to go out and start look for a reason to go and stop using services like Google and like YouTube. And I will tell you right now that I'm not a fan where Google's going with this. I mean, do I go out and start using Google on a daily basis? No, I don't. I absolutely don't. Even though they have strong search results, the search results can be also manipulative too. Something that I'd be very, very careful doing as of right now, because the fact is that if you know that they're digging into your privacy right in the background, if it's like the saying goes that if you know something stinks, it really stinks of something that is rotten to the core, and you know that using your products is something that is really horrible and drenched into a very bad smell. Because I don't trust something that someone will dig all the data that you've been going through over the years, and that tells you what are they going to use with that data in the first place. And it doesn't seem that Google will ever change at all. And that's one thing I think you see browsers. It's not just Brave. I'm sure that other browsers are definitely. You got so many developers that are changing the code from, like, I know Brave isn't the only one, because I know Brave is still based on Chromium, and even that, I'm not even 100% sure I would trust 100% trust Brave because it's still built via the Chromium, and you don't know if Brave will end up. Who knows? If let's say if the Brave browser were to change within the next 5 years, and then later on it ends up becoming less privacy focused, and I'm sure it may not, right? But let's say if some heads were to uh, turn against the other cheek, and they will start to change. Do you think that they're ever going to keep their promises? I don't. I bet not. But right now, I see that they are doing just well. And hey, and I will say that back then, I was a big Firefox guy. From Firefox to Chrome. Then later on, I left Chrome and decided to switch on to another browser like Opera, which honestly, Opera isn't too bad of a browser. I definitely recommend the Opera in some use cases, but again, it's not like a privacy focused browser, but there are so many out there that you can just use. And then I think there's another browser that starts with a V, but again, doesn't come to mind right now what the name of the browser. But if I find it, I will put the link down below so you guys can look it up and see what you guys think about some alternative browsers that you guys can go out and look up for yourself. Hey, that'll be a pretty good idea for those that care to or care or to look into using something a little bit different other than Google, Firefox, or Microsoft's Edge, which I think it would be a lot better, really. And to find out more about the AMP story, I'll post the links down for The Verge and the other blog post from Brave down in the description, which I recommend all my listeners to read the Brave blog because even that it even tells you by detail why it's actually very bad for, and harming users user control and autonomy, which that is one thing I would definitely recommend anyone to go and try out reading. And also you guys can go and look up other privacy tools to even protect your data and what things you can do to protect yourself down the line, which I totally recommend anyone doing that. If you're into protecting your privacy, that's one of the first browsers I would use is Brave because it is it works well. It's not a very big memory hog from what I've used previously, like Mozilla Firefox, which tends to be a very much a CPU hog, which don't recommend using that at all. But if you have other alternatives, go for what I've just said and use Brave or other alternative browsers like Pale Moon or Valencia or something like that too. So, anyways, I'll have the links down in the description so that way you can try out different browsers of your choice and alternative browsers, by the way, too. All right, everybody. So, the last topic I want to talk about is inflation, and especially on the prices, which I think where we are at right now in the current moment, I do think that the way things are going as far as food and things are going on here in the economy, it's definitely affecting everyone. And this is not just a problem in the United States. I do think it's a huge problem everywhere else as well, in Europe, Asia, and many, many more. That this will end up lasting all the way till next year. And I know that this is not where we wanted to see, but this is where we are. And my God, I mean, the last time I've been through grocery shopping, this was very recently, and I cannot believe for 19 items, I've spent about like $40.21 on just 19 items alone. And man, and unholy, holy crap, we're gonna continue to get into a big world hurt and a lot more coming up right there, because this is where the loss of confidence is definitely gonna hit hard, especially. And you look at where we are at and the economy, and a lot of people are saying that, well, in our economy with the Biden administration, everything's gonna be all right, when in reality it's really much bullshit that's spewing out the mouths of um, central bankers and basically people running the show. And you gotta look at the bigger picture, and you gotta see that we've are this is just the start, right? Of pretty much of a brand new crash. And I remember a long time ago that when back when I was pretty much at towards the point that when I was in my senior year of high school, and that was pretty much late of 2008, 2008 through 2009, where the Great Recession happened. And I remember where well that there's there was people that lost their jobs, and there was people that did kept their jobs. So in 2008, the recession was it was over a decade ago, and I something I remember, right? And that's when I hear about inflation, price hikes, and sure, did the prices go up? Um, it did, and it was pretty bad back then. But I know that the worst will come for sure. And if you are not prepared for the next crash, my God, this is something a lot of people should expect and should start stacking up, because you are gonna get into a lot of hurting. And I mean, a lot of people will be fucked up by next year. And when I say that is, for one, if you think the money you're going to use for spending and will last for a long time, especially the purchasing power that's going on right now. And even recently, when I've opened up Instacart, especially how things are going, especially with fuel surge charges between 40 to 55 cents. See, that's another addition to all the hikes. And that's where I mean, if you look at the surge charges, I think there was customers that actually demanded to have surcharges added right there. And this is one of the worst things I could see, having fuel surcharges added, and this is not a good thing. And if you think that surcharges does any good, I think you're wrong. I think you're definitely hurting. It's not the services, but you're definitely hurting the consumer long term. And I'll tell you why, because the consumer at the end of the day are taking the hit when they pay extra on delivery fees and the food that they, and also just delivery fees, the taxes, many unnecessary surcharges that's placed right there. Unless if you have membership, but why do you want to spend monthly right there? Unless if you use a service often, like for Instacart for 99 cents. And I'm sure that for anyone that's listening internationally, what the hell is Instacart? Basically, it's grocery shopping coming right to your doorstep without having to physically go out and get groceries out for yourself. And it's terrible because you are spending so much. And I myself, I'm sure I've used a Instacart, and the last time I've used Instacart was about 2 weeks ago. And I remember just seeing how awful the price is. I have not seen the prices this bad. It's really astronomically awful. And if you look at it right there too, it's how on earth the average person can continue to afford and spend that kind of price is really bizarre. That to the point like how can any average person can just not look at it and continue to spend and spend and not realize that all that money is going away. Which by the way, if I understood correctly too, in fact, even a lot of the people, especially the central banks, are saying that now that the rise of inflation will continue up all the way through next year of 2023. No surprise right there, because all the problems that the government will do is not won't do diddly squat. It's definitely hurting people of the lower class, and continue to hurt people that are basically the working class, like I myself. So no surprise where this is gonna go. And people that are buying stuff like, let's say, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, whatever services you got going on. I'm sure by the if you look at the previews in the previews of what you're looking over, you see the delivery fees and the gas surge fees. What I can tell you with what I'm against is that you're definitely hurting the purchasing power of consumers, because by the time when you put temporary gas service charges fees, that will never go away. In my opinion, that's going to continue on if you unless if you buy those things and let these things spur up. And because I honestly see when people say temporary, it's more permanent. And hear me out when I say that, because whenever you have companies that slap temporary fees, do you even think that many of those temporary fees will end up staying temporary? I don't think so. And where there are obviously a lot of people are gonna end up accepting this, because a lot of people don't give a shit on how much people spend for food and groceries, because that will end up continuing. That's going to continue on and on forever. And note that, hey, I don't like where especially the world is going, and the price of food and everything else that's going up high. And look, I didn't even find out about this. I didn't find all about this since yesterday. I mean, I've been keeping up with with the prices and the inflation, especially the way things are going. And you look at things like the Nasdaq, the Dow Jones, and then the S&P 500. You think that the stock market looks even healthy? Not really. Not certainly not. I mean, we are definitely at one of the most weakest points of our lifetime right now, especially with the surge of inflation and the amounts of money being printed every single day. And I'm sure by the time of this recording, it'll be like over $31 trillion. And holy cow, I don't even remember. And I'm going over, and oh shoot, no, it's actually still $30 trillion, 395 billion. Yeah, at this point. So yeah, actually, I'm actually very wrong about this too. So it's actually still $30 trillion, but by the time that next year comes, it'll climb up to $31 trillion, as we all know it right there. And the way things are going in America, it's definitely going in the wrong track. Definitely in the wrong track of things. So not liking it all one bit. It's very terrible that we're going through this here in America. So yeah, it's pretty goddamn awful. So, but yeah. So just to end it right there, even on a sad note of this episode, which I would say for those that are working. And if you are working, I would say be prepared for the worst, and that way you'll stay safe throughout hard times. So right there, I am definitely putting my time and energy into putting my money where it is actually going. And I do want to see that go somewhere where I can protect myself. In fact, I definitely encourage anyone to purchase crypto or any hard assets, which would be very good down the line. Hey, not financial advice. You could take it or leave it. For what I'm saying is, please be prepared and keep yourselves safe with everything happening because, for instance, it's not just the food and groceries, but the electronics are definitely going to continue to skyrocket. And I would mention right here, and probably last thing right in this session is, um, with the way it's going, you don't know if the price of electronics are going to continue to skyrocket. And in fact, it's not just the food. Like I've said, electronics will be a big indicator, and you guys would not be able to afford the new expensive flat screen TV. In fact, that price of a flat screen will increase down the line, and especially with new products coming in, that's not something that everybody is going to be able to um, take a bullet for inflation. Because who's going to take the bullet for inflation when you're not going to be able to heal throughout a open wound, where that wound, it's going to continue to get worse, and who's going to take a bullet for the increase of pricing, which that's something we all have to pay close attention to, something that we cannot dismiss. What is happening will become a very real thing down the line. So be careful what you wish for, because honestly, especially the times that I've been ordering, especially from DoorDash, Grubhub, all these other services I've used in the past, something I will be minimizing myself less on this, and something I will not be using services like that. And moving forward, I mean, this is where we're definitely heading if we don't pay enough attention to it too. So, all right, guys, this is episode 179 of the Leon LeGray podcast. And my goodness, it's been a good a moment since I've went in and put a recording down. Happy that I did it, and very glad that I put the time to record 50 plus minutes of recording. Didn't have to do all that, but I did it. Also, for you guys that have listened and stuck around and stick through about almost an hour of the podcast, thank you so much. Truly appreciate every one of you listeners taking the time to listen. Please be sure to follow me at your music services or your podcast platform of your choice. So remember to check me out, follow me over there. Thank you again for taking the time to listen to the Leon LeGray podcast. Your host, Leon. Take care of yourselves, and good night, good day, wherever you are. Peace out.